Yeah, no, I think that, the same, I think it kind of applies the same way, you always hear in like basketball, where there's all these like street ballers that are like, in some ways a lot better, like the professor, all these street ballers that are better than a lot of NBA players. And it gets down to the politics and knowing the right people. And there's a lot of really good artists out there that just haven't, it's a lot harder to clear the cusp when you don't have someone helping you clear the cusp.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. And there is, yeah, the connections play a part of it. The business mind. Some people are creative and don't have a business mind. Just is what it
Yep.
is. And then some people can acquire it and learn it, but other people just never do. There's some artists that are signed to majors that it's good they're signed to majors because they couldn't do it independently. You know? So I think that, I like to manage artists that also have a business mind because then we can bounce ideas and then they can go off and run with it. And I can handle all the stuff on the back end and use my connections. But some of the artists that I manage don't have a business mind and they just want to make music and give it to me so I can be like, okay, this is the plan, you know? So yeah, it's definitely tough and every artist is completely different.
How do you approach that with management? Trying, because you have a, I guess I don't know if you manage all of them, but you have a bunch of artists on your Indie Amplify. I don't know if you're managing all of them or no.
No,
Okay,
no,
but
I manage 6 artists.
okay, but still, even with six artists, you have a
Yeah.
lot of variability there. I'm sure amongst all of them. How do
hmm
you like balance all of that with also everyone being on a different timeline all the time with their music, their tours, or all their stuff?
Um, my desk is full of to-do lists and calendars and all of that. And really that's what allows me to be as productive as possible is like everything is penciled in, everything is scheduled in, every task that pops into my mind goes on my to-do list so that nothing slips through the cracks. And then it's not just me. I have Tanya, who's my business manager, who handles all things like contract, uh, day to day business stuff, like sending invoices, collecting funds, doing all that. And then I have George, who's like day to day manager, who handles like if artists go on the road, like he got to go and he got to figure out the hotels and the flights and all that. So it's like it's not just me. There's 3 of us that kind of like amongst all the businesses that I do, it's like I try to have 2 other people in place that can like do the things that as George called me right now. 2 other people in place that can do the things that like I either don't want to do or am not as efficient in. They would take away from like the actual things I need to be doing. Like I'm the connected one. So I need to be, yo, Mike wants to get a feature with this artist. Who do I know? Or do I know the artist or do I know their manager or do I know a booking agent or do I know their producer? There's nobody that I'm probably not one person away from. So it's like while I'm doing that, it's like Tanya's handling this and George is handling this.
with with all of that, and I like that because I watch a lot of Gary Vee stuff too, and I know he's big on that too. Where like if it's something that isn't efficient for you to do, you should have someone else that does it.
Yeah.
Um, how do you like separate the all the work stuff on your plate to then going to be with the wife and kids and like being present? Because I think being present is such an important thing, and balancing that.
Yeah. Leaving the phone is definitely the main thing. And putting myself on a schedule and then also filling my cup up first. I wake up at 4:45 and I go run, I get in the sauna. Sometimes I'll clean the house. Sometimes I'll work a little bit. Then my son wakes up at 7. I spend 2 uninterrupted hours with him before I go and do anything work wise. So it's like my first 5 hours of the day, I'm not working. I'm taking care of myself and taking care of my kids. And then I get my work day in, and then I have 2 more uninterrupted hours. And it's like I give that time to them again, whether me and him go swimming or we all go to dinner or my son loves to cook, me and him are cooking and we're doing all this stuff. So like that's really what it is like. And then even like my gym time, it's like I know for sure like I gotta play basketball. So I'm going twice a week and I'm playing on Tuesdays and Thursdays and I might play in the men's league on Sunday. So it's like making sure that I allow myself time to do what I need to do because if I don't, then like I'm just gonna be in a bad mood and I'm not gonna be good for nobody. So that's really waking up 2 hours earlier was the main thing that allowed me to like still do my physical stuff. And then the uninterrupted hours with my son didn't feel, because that's what was happening was I'm like, dang, I wake up and I spend the first 2 hours with him and I feel like I don't get to do anything for me. And if I have work to catch up on, I don't get to do that until 11 o'clock. And so it was like, how can I be more productive? Wake up early.
Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I call it time blocked micromanagement, micro focus, time blocked micro focus. From like this time to this time, I'm doing this. My phone's off. This time to this time, I'm doing this. My phone's off.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's so key. Is the phone is a big time waster that time moves too fast when you're on it and you lose track of stuff real quick.
It's crazy. I'll yell at myself sometimes, like, get off your phone. For real.
Yeah. Going off the being present. So back last fall or so is when I really started like working on myself more, and I had this mentor in my life that was really big on like what's your like life blueprint, like whether it's religion, whatever it is, what's your life blueprint. And I kind of came up with this idea of like 3 principles that mean like the most to me, and then I kind of like surround everything else in my life with that. So mine 3 are: don't lose your happiness on the pursuit for more, always be present and accountable, and give more love than you take. If you could pick 3 principles for your life, what would they be?
I say that same thing all the time. The good old Mike Stud quote.
Yeah. Tattooed right here on the arm.
Yep. Don't lose your happiness on the pursuit for more. Plan your work your plan. That's something that I find myself saying all the time. Because I believe, if you don't plan, whatever the other quote is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I would honestly say those 2, and I mean, it's kind of the same as the first one, but make sure you're happy in real life, not just on the internet. It's something that I say a lot. So yeah, those, and to fill your cup first. I refer to like 2 things I refer to a lot is the Harvard study of happiness. I don't know if you ever heard about that. You've heard about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so like the
We can
Harvard
talk
study.
about it though, because I'm sure there's a bunch of listeners that haven't. If you want to.
Okay, yeah. So 2 things. When you're on a plane, this isn't the Harvard study of happiness, but the 2 things I refer to a lot is when you're on the plane, they tell you, even if you have kids, when the oxygen mask comes down, to grab that mask first and make sure that you're good so you can assist as many people as possible. So at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of us, especially good-hearted people that want to help, sometimes we spread ourselves thin because we're trying to help everybody, but we didn't help ourselves. So you have to make sure, and it's hard to do because you feel selfish sometimes and like whatever, but you have to put your oxygen mask on first so you can now help the baby and help this person and the elderly and whoever, right? Then the second thing is a Harvard study of happiness, which is the longest study of humans ever, over 100 years. A bunch of graduates from Harvard, and Harvard is prestigious, so some people went on to be mega rich. Some people were already rich and then blew all their bread and went broke. Some people lived in the middle ground. And the study shows that the richest people were not the happiest. And in fact, more money, more problems is a true ass saying. And they, not only were they not as happy, their kids weren't as happy, and down generations and generations, there was even disorders. There was more disorders in those families and more drug addictions and more everything. And it found that the sweet spot was like still a good amount of money. Like families that made $250,000 to $350,000, but had great relationships. Not only were they happier, but they lived longer, and their kids lived longer, and all this different stuff. And maybe my numbers aren't exactly what the study said. It's close to that, but the moral of the story is money does not buy happiness, and it's scientifically proven that money does not buy happiness. And in fact, more money is more problems. And yeah, so I just kind of live by those things, and choose your hard is something that I say all the time. Like, yo, it's hard to be in shape. It's hard to like get up at 4:45 and go run 2 miles. It's also hard to be 400 pounds and walk around with all that weight on them knees. Boy, them shit's finna give out. So like choose your hard. So
Now, I remember a post that you had about that where it was like there was like 6 things I think you had where it was like choose your heart, and each side was was one or the other, and it's like pick which one you want. Like this is up to
For
you.
real.
You know.
For real.
I think we're one thing that I'm so appreciative of is living in this day and age is seeing the people that make it, like the J. Cole's that get the money, and now living in social media times, you have so much better access to knowing that like that's not it. Like seeing all the people that make it aren't willing to share that they're not happy lets you know that that shouldn't be your main focus while you're here. You should be focused on other things on the journey that sustain you and keep you happy versus just reaching some point where you think you're just going to have all this happiness. But it's,
And I feel like it's so hard. It's so hard until you get there for so many people. I think that people don't realize like life is really a journey with, I don't want to say there's no destinations and like sound super cliche, but like there really isn't in the sense, like there's plenty of destinations, but once you get there, then what? What you gonna do after that? So it's like life is a long, long journey, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's a short one. But at the end of the day, it's like, yo, how you spend your time every day, how you give your love, how you receive your love, how you impact others, how you form relationships, how you just leave your imprint. Whether you really, really touch a small group of people or you touch a huge group of people, it's just like, yo, it's a journey. It's all a journey.